Texans tight end position, one of the most interesting units heading into camp. I got a chance to sit down with Dalton Schultz. He had some interesting stuff to say about this system, including perhaps a shot at the Dallas Cowboys. And he also informed us about a failed transaction that might have been a silly rejection by one of the most polarizing members of the tight end group. Let's go inside the locker room. Training camp is upon us, baby.
Yeah, it's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we.
Training camp is upon us. Dalton Schultz already looking really, really good on the field, off the field. He's kind of creating some content at the podium. And then when he joined the show In the Loop on Sports Radio 610, which is where you can hear me, your number one source for Texans on the radio side. This is your number one source for Texans on the digital side. Only been going for 10 months, but been 100% consistent. Been in this together. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me 10 to 2 on In the Loop, 10 to 2 Central. On In the Loop on Sports Radio 610, which is where I spoke to Dalton Schultz. And he had some interesting things to say about offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik, which we'll get to in a sec. But first, let's just look at the Texans tight end position as a whole. The state of the Texans tight end position. Dalton Schultz is obviously going to be your starting tight end. He's your most established tight end. And then behind him, there's a little bit of intrigue. You have Tegan Quinteriano, who last year, it took him a while to get on the field, but he immediately looked the part when he stepped on the field. He was looked at as a blocking tight end, but surprised many with his ability to catch. He has not been active yet at camp. He's walking around on the side. That was the case last year, but as soon as he stepped in, he was ready to contribute. You also have guys like Mason Schreck. You have Andrew Beck, who's actually been lining up at fullback a lot. He's kind of the try-hard. Andrew Beck, you might remember him at the University of Texas and Denver. It's obvious to see why he might have gotten a lot of opportunities from his former coaches. Most recently, Nathaniel Hackett, who, man, you heard what Sean Payton said about him, and Tom Herman at Texas. He's definitely one of those guys that finishes every rep. He's one of the practice tryhards, and it'll be interesting to see how Bobby Slowik, the offensive coordinator, who we'll hear about in a sec, uses him. Also, you have Brevin Jordan. Is Brevin Jordan going to be on this squad? And other than that, there's some other guys, but they're probably really not worth mentioning. It's not interesting until we see them in preseason games. But Schultz, Quinteriano, Beck, you think are going to make the team. And then is it going to be Schreck? Is it going to be Brevin Jordan? How does that work out? It's going to be really, really interesting. I do think Brevin Jordan perhaps made a little bit of a mistake that we'll get to in a sec. But first, let's hear from Dalton Schultz. He joined the radio show In the Loop, Sports Radio 610, which is where you can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2. And he gave perhaps the most glowing endorsement of offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik that we've heard up to this point. This is Dalton Schultz talking about Bobby Slowik. And notice what he says about the manner in which Bobby Slowik teaches offense.
Dude, he's great.
Is he a boring teacher? Is he like a Stanford honors class teacher?
He's actually funny as hell. Like, I think he's kind of, when we first got here, it was okay. These are the routes. Mm-hmm. These are the routes that you have on these concepts. This is what you got. And now it's kind of like peeling it back and saying, okay, this is the whole concept.
This is what you can do.
This is the route. This is why we run it like this. This is why your split is what it is. This is why I'm calling this, because I want this coverage, because against this coverage, this guy is stuck between three guys, So he's kind of diving into the bits, the bits and bobs of the installs. And I think, for me, being somewhere and like having a kind of mastery of an offense, like on my 5th year, like I wish I would have learned it this way year 1.
Okay.
Because like I feel like I would have gotten to where I was year 5 in that offense much quicker.
Okay. So, I mean, that is a glowing endorsement from Dalton Schultz, and it's got to make you feel good about one of the guys and one of the most important figures for the Texans, Bobby Slowik. Because we can talk about, tight ends. We can talk about weapons. It's really going to come down to how Bobby Slowik uses these guys. And to hear Dalton Schultz say that and to go that in depth, I thought it was a hell of an endorsement and one of many endorsements that Bobby Slowik did receive. I am intrigued to see Bobby Slowik calling plays or the offense really functioning with pads on, which actually begins today. So today we're going to see the Texans in pads. If you're out there, come by, say hi. It's going to be fun. The pads are coming on. So we'll see what this run scheme is about, the motion, all that type of stuff. We'll get a grasp of that. But Dalton Schultz seems pretty impressed. This was interesting. So my co-host John Lopez brought this up before. I gave him kind of a hard time about it, but Dalton Schultz wore number 9 at Stanford. Guys are starting to wear single-digit numbers. And John Lopez said, I bet Dalton Schultz wanted to take number 9 from Brevin Jordan. And I just kind of say, yeah, whatever. He asked Dalton Schultz, and apparently Dalton Schultz not only wanted the number, he offered Brevin Jordan maybe some moolah for that number. And here's what Brevin Jordan had to say. Here's Dalton Schultz with us on the practice field a few days ago.
Did you try to get Brevin Jordan's number? That was your college?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, see, I told you this was.
He gave me a hard time
Yeah.
because I said I know he wanted number 9 because everybody's going single digit now.
Would you try to offer him money or what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I won't disclose. But
Okay.
No, I don't want
yeah,
to know.
he turned it down.
He turned it down.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Oh man.
Stay tuned. Maybe we'll end up, goodness gracious. Man, so you did try to get it.
Yeah, I
did try
figured
to
you
get
might.
9. Okay.
I figured
Oh,
you
dude,
might.
I love that number.
see
I've had that number since high school. Like,
Oh, okay.
that's like mine.
And
My
single
favorite
digits just look like you're a
They
badass.
look badass.
Yeah.
You got
I
a ball,
just-
though. You
I
got a
just- that's
ball
my-
like crazy with the
Yeah.
9.
Notice how I said stand by. There's a chance Brevin Jordan gets cut and Dalton gets that number after all. I'm actually kind of surprised Brevin Jordan wouldn't come off it. If I were Brevin Jordan, I think a fresh start would be fun for Brevin Jordan. Hadn't been a real great start to his career. Maybe a fresh start, maybe some extra money in the pocket, and hell, you might not even make the team anyways. So I probably would have said yes. Brevin Jordan said no. There was a lot of really fun stuff that we talked about with Dalton Schultz. When we have interviews on In the Loop, we're getting to know these guys. We had Jimmy Ward yesterday. We had Dalton Schultz today. These guys go to the podium. You hear the generic coaches speak stuff. If they say something of note, we react to it. But we want you to be able to get to know these guys and kind of chill, man beyond the helmet type of stuff. And we take a lot of pride in doing that. And I think you'll enjoy the Dalton Schultz interview. Many people enjoyed the Jimmy Ward. If you want to see the full Dalton Schultz video, it's in the description. The link is there. Subscribe here. We'll always put out our interviews. We get them during the week. It's not just during camp. We get them during the week as well. So right along for that. Tight end position, though, going to be really interesting. Bobby Slowik is really the one who controls it. But as far as what the actual room is going to look like and what's going to happen, that's going to be something really, really fun to watch. You feel like you have a good idea of guys who are going to make it, but the outside competitions, could Brevin Jordan look good? Who knows? But Dalton Schultz had a hell of a day a couple of days ago on Thursday, and it's going to be interesting to see what he looks like when the pads come on. Subscribe, like, right along. Appreciate everyone for coming through. That's a breakdown of the tight end position. We'll have a live stream after the first padded practice later on today when I get back, probably sometime in the afternoon. But good morning to everyone. Happy football season. Happy Texans football. Happy not the laughing stock of the league Texans season. And no matter what happens, no matter who the tight ends are, no matter what Bobby Slowik looks like, no matter what jersey number Dalton Schultz looks like or wears, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we are all in this together. Appreciate you for coming through.
Every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2.